Today I'm doing a tea spell that's great for beginners or advanced witches that uses the magic of soothing rose quartz to heal your heart from heartbreak, worry, and let your spirit shine again. This healing tea recipe is from this beautiful book, Tea Magic by Jenay Marontate. Coming up next. Welcome to the Witch's Studio. I am, of course, Mickie Mueller, author, illustrator, and witch, not necessarily in that order. And I am so glad to be back bringing you some witchy fun. I've got spells, witchy tips, and tricks, plus lots of DIYs here on my channel. If you haven't yet, you'll thank yourself if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way, you can always find your way back here to my Witch's Studio. I don't post on a schedule, but more as the inspiration guides me to. So hitting that notification bell is the best way to be among the first to catch my next video as soon as I post it. I can't ignore the fact that I've been away from YouTube for many months. During that time, there have been many moments that just made me stop dead in my tracks and say aloud, "Oh, my heart." I knew I needed to get back to the basics. Here's the thing. It's important to recognize that it's okay to back off things when you need to. Give yourself some space. But it's also important to actively reserve energy for things that you love doing and the things that give you life. One of the things that I love is making videos for you. Months before I stopped making videos here, I kind of slowed down a bit after I was diagnosed with ADHD. As my doctor put it, not a mild case. That was back in October of 2022. And ever since, I've been kind of unpacking all of what that means to me, reframing every life experience, every attribute, the strengths and the pitfalls of an actual diagnosis that the world had convinced me was just a set of character flaws. So I've been working through various treatment options with my doctor to see what will work best for me. But here's the thing. During that time, I also had several deaths of family members and a friend and a huge personal health scare. My dog needed surgery. A big thank you to everyone who helped me with that over on GoFundMe. She's slowly but surely healing up from that. And then all of the plethora of just everyday life challenges that we all face. I even ended up with stitches on my finger. It's kind of been a lot. So I thought in order to get back to wholeheartedly doing the things that I love, I needed to heal my heart because it's been through a lot. And I thought you might need to heal your heart too. These are such difficult times, but we're all in it together. So I remembered a box of books that my publisher, Llewellyn, had sent me a few months back. And among the treasures was this beautiful book, Tea Magic by Jenay Marontate. This book is so full of ways to use your tea in your witchcraft, different types of teas, how to brew it, health benefits, tea spells and rituals, tea leaf reading, and tons of other stuff too. Tea Magic is a great way to get back to basics because it's very personal. It's a spell that you drink. It's also a wonderful method for beginners because tea is accessible and there's no stronger magic than the spells that you do for yourself. And there also isn't much more comforting than a cup of tea. I will leave a link for this book in the description below. It's an excellent book, just in case you love working with magical teas the way I do, or want to learn how. This author has written a clear and concise guide to work from. So I invite you to sit back and relax while I show you how I was inspired by Jenay's rose quartz healing heart tea to give my heart some extra love and healing after an especially difficult time. In addition to just showing you the rose quartz healing heart tea spell written by Jenay Marontate. This is also kind of an example of how you can take a spell from a book and change it and adjust it to fit what tools you have on hand and your personal practice. Using her spell as a guide, I decided that I wanted to add some smoke cleansing using this beautiful rose incense that was sent to me from one of my Etsy friends years ago. Scent is a really powerful way to awaken your magical self. In addition, using any kind of incense is a nice way to cleanse any of your tools that you wish to from previous spells that you might have been doing, and you can also cleanse yourself. I'm also using a love candle from Mel's Candles and Rala, who's a friend, and anointing it with some love oil from my beautiful friend White Raven. The scent is beautiful. As I work, I'm also anointing my hands, as they will be doing the magic. White Raven also sent me this rose petal powder, which I decided to also add to the top of my candle. My dear friend and partner of Mystical Cats Tarot, Linnea Weatherstone, surprised me with this beautiful spinning candle holder. I found that working with it was really cool for a spell because it's constantly moving and therefore adding energy to the spell. Of course, this spell includes rose quartz. I gathered together what I had and picked out the 3 that I felt were most appropriate and set them aside. Unfortunately, I don't have any loose black tea, which this spell calls for. We're going to make some tea bags work, and they just so happen to be Red Rose brand tea. And I got a little spur of the moment inspiration on how to reuse these tea bags. Even though I have a beautiful collection of tea balls, it just seemed a shame to throw them away. So for these kind, if you just cut one end, you end up with a long sleeve shaped tea filter. The perfect shape to funnel that tea into this beautiful bottle that, yes, was a gift from my daughter. I used quite a few tea bags, and I'm setting all these tea bags aside. Yes, there's a theme developing. I'm using lots of items that I received from friends and loved ones to add more love energy into my spell. The spell calls for rose petals, and you need to use organic rose petals. If you haven't harvested them yourself, you need to make sure your source is organic. You don't want to use gas station rose petals for this that probably have pesticides on them because you're going to be drinking them. These were just a few rose petals that I had on hand. The spell also calls for cardamom seeds. I love cardamom, but I don't have any seeds on hand. All I have is this ground cardamom. We're going to make that work too. I also have those herb labels as a free download on a different video. I'll pop a link for that up in the corner. This is rosemary, which also is included in this spell. Rosemary is one of my many favorite herbs. I double-checked on White Raven's website, and these powdered rose petals are organic, so I decided to also include some in this enchanted tea, since I didn't have as many rose petals as I would have liked, so I thought that made a good addition. With the herbs all in the jar, I am now ready to add the rose quartz. Here I'm basically programming the rose quartz, telling it that I want to work on healing my heart and self-love. Jenay reminds us that rose quartz is good for all matters of the heart. Focus on each stone as you add it. The first stone represents healing of the mind and easing of the tears. The second stone represents healing the heart and steadying the heartbeat. The third stone represents healing of the spirit and the joy that is ready to shine through and rise. Okay, now I'm going to put the cork on and blend it up with those stones so that they can impart their energy into the dry tea. I love Jenay's idea of adding stones into the dry tea as a way to charge it without exposing your stones to water. She goes into this more in the book. It's some very clever kitchen witchery. Since I had to substitute some of the ingredients for ground ingredients, a tea ball might not be very effective, but these tea bags that the black tea was in will work perfectly. I'm simply going to fold that little top so that none of the tea can escape. And of course you can adjust this method depending on what shape your original tea bag is. And I'm simply going to fasten the whole thing back together with a staple, just like it was originally. It's an easy little innovation that allows you to use what you have already on hand. You'll have plenty of tea to repeat this little ritual over the period of a few days to a week until you have finished all the tea that you've made. You can then remove the rose quartz and cleanse them however you like. I decided to add some manuka honey to my tea just for the extra healing properties. Jenay also refers to the spoon as a sort of wand in the book and recommends adding a sigil over the top of your tea. And this is something that I've been doing for a while, so I love that she included that in the book. The cup and the saucer are also special to me, as both were purchased from my beautiful friend Mint Faery. The cup included one of her handcrafted candles for inner child healing. Jenay says, while holding this hot cup of tea, inhale deeply the calmness of cardamom, the softness of rose, catching an uplifting touch of rosemary. Then exhale all the worry and pain that your heart has been feeling, your mind has been seeing, and your spirit has been dragging around. As you exhale, release the weariness. Take as many deep breaths as you need, keeping clear your intentions of putting your heart back together and realigning your mind, body, and spirit. I hope this inspires you to try some tea magic of your very own. And yes, I am still drinking my beautiful healing tea. It's a really pleasant ritual and it's very enjoyable. I find that my heart is feeling lighter every single day that I do it. And after all, when we're having a hard time, it didn't happen quickly, so that healing isn't necessarily going to happen overnight either. So giving yourself the time to work through this tea spell in the way that Jenay's written it, I think is good wisdom. And tasty. I need to get some more cookies. I really hope that you enjoyed that little tea ritual. Thank you so much, Jenay Marontate, for the wonderful inspiration in her beautiful book, Tea Magic. And yes, there is a link in the description for her book and also for her shop, Kitchen Witch Gourmet, where you can get her witchcrafted teas. And I hope that this inspired you to break out that tea kettle and try some beautiful kitchen witchery and tea magic of your own for healing your heart. And speaking of healing hearts, please feel free to share this video with someone you know who needs it. Just knowing that someone else sees our heart can be very healing. If you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed and cast a spell on the notification bell so that you'll magically know as soon as I upload a new video. And speaking of new videos, I wanted to make sure I let you know that you can catch my videos 24 hours early and ad-free over on my Patreon. I'll put the link in the description below. You'll also find it in my About section. I'm also sharing exclusive content over there on Patreon, sneak peeks for current projects with opportunities for your input on them, behind the scenes stuff, monthly printables, and with most of the perks being available for all tiers. Right now I'm hosting a coloring contest over there with a download for this beautiful Hecate coloring page. And the winner of that is going to receive a copy of Llewellyn's 2024 Magical Moon Calendar that features some of my art, along with the art of Abigail Larson, Barbara Tamlin, and Sue Gent. Thanks again for visiting me here. I have a few more videos here that I think you might enjoy. I hope to see you here next time. Until then, I hope that you stay safe, happy, and healthy. And remember, as always, to be your magic. Bye, everybody.